Cheat 3 here. Today I'm going to show you how you can use diagrams to help solve the return on investment Lego puzzle box. So the things you're going to need are the return on investment Lego puzzle box, some paper, and a mark maker. The first thing I'm going to do is just sort of explore the puzzle. And the obvious thing that draws your attention is that there's a money here, a 5-piece money, and this sort of thing that looks like an arrow. And that really draws your attention to it. And if you follow the arrow, you'll see there's a hole here. And that's color coded in the same red. So that must mean something, right? And that was intended by the designer. And I know that because I designed it. So now I'm just going to explore the box a little bit more, and what I'm discovering here is that the walls of each of the sides moves. Each one seems to be a little bit different, and I'm also looking to see whether or not the holes that I discovered sort of line up with the depths of the box as I move them around. If I start with a side profile of the box, that might be if I think that the verticality, vertical motion is really, really important here. If I started with the top perspective of the box, that would mean sort of the horizontal and lateral motion in the box is more important. So if I started with the vertical one, I might, for example, take this money piece, and if I put it in here and I push it, I no longer see it. So that I've noticed that it just kind of went through the hole and then dropped down. So that first motion was vertical. That might lead me to choose a representation of the side perspective of the box. So what I could do is, I might choose a representation first that looks sort of like this. And I might even put my coin here with the arrow going that way, just to get my orientation of the box correct. Right, so I'm saying this arrow goes that way, there's this stud here with the coin, and then somewhere around right here, I notice there's a hole, and then some sort of a drop, right? So that my coin goes into this direction here. There's my coin, I slide it in, and it kind of drops down here. So there's an opening. I'm not sure what it dropped down to. I can still sort of see it in there. If I tilt it this way, I can see the coin is just sitting here. So that makes me think that there's a floor right there. So this might be how I first start my box. Okay, and how I first start my diagram. And one thing I'm noticing is it's sort of moving back and forth as I tilt it this way. If I do this, I don't hear anything. Do you hear this? Let me get a little closer so you can hear it. That tells me there's a free path in that direction and not in this direction. And if I tilt it back to there, I'm not hearing any movement in that direction either. So that tells me, I think that this is stopped and that there's some movement that's allowed in this direction. Now you can start to see that this diagram may be very limited if I need side to side motion here, because that would be into the depth of the paper and not side to side or up and down in this diagram. I can already tell there's going to be a problem with this diagram because the walls do move this direction and that direction. So maybe right now I'll take another sheet of paper here. Let me just call this number 1 in case we want to come back to that. And let's start a second diagram. And in this diagram, maybe we'll use the above perspective. And here, I can actually use graph paper to sort of indicate the number of studs. So this is a 6x6. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that 6? 1, 2. Yeah, it is. Wait. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've just kind of the thickness is a little bit misleading here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yep. There it is. This was a little bit extra. And this inserted into the third square right here. So it went in here. And then it dropped down there. And it kind of went forward and backward. So that's my current view, is I put the coin in here at this level, and then it dropped down into that level, and I'm stuck. But now this diagram I know is gonna let me use some horizontal motion. So notice I've already created some symbols here. Like I've said, hey, I've used this one to say that's at a different level. I've just done some cross hatching there. And if I move this first wall that direction, okay, so I've seen that this wall right here moves that way, right? And what happened here is a little slider piece popped out. See this? And that wasn't popping out when I first explored this without the coin. So I think what that tells me is that initially there was a slider piece right here. And I'm gonna just label that 100 because I know that's a $100 tile piece that moves. And when this pushed that way, I think this somehow got pushed out. So that comes out, which means that when I slid this, there must be something attached on the inside that used that coin to push that slider piece. So let's try this again. I'm just gonna push it back. And I should be in the same position. Hear that? If I'm in this bottom position here, so if the coin is right here and I try to push this wall, nothing happens. So I think that this area here is sort of a dead area. And that when I try to push, when the coin's in this position, there's something attached right here to this wall that's preventing it from moving. But when the coin's in this position, there's something attached that does move. So I'm actually gonna do this. So I think that the wall looks like this in this level. Now clearly this diagram may run into some problems if there's vertical motion, if the coin is really moving up and down. But for now, let's just keep this. And so I think that this piece here all moved together. So in the new position, I've actually got this sort of happening. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 more. 1, 2, 3, like that. And then here, I've got my dead space. This is all blocked. And then here, I've got my 100 pushed out. So my coin is sitting right here right now, I think. And then I have 3 more up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down to there. I think that's what I know right now. And my coin is just sitting right here. Okay. So I've pushed it that way and my money pieces come out. Let's see if, right now it's not, I'm not noticing any sound. I'm just gonna pull this out a little bit further though. And it was. So this piece, because this was applying pressure and pushing out that 100 piece, the slider, it was still under compression here. And so when I pulled this out, it freed that up, it relieved the compression, and now I'm hearing some additional movement here. So if I go left and right, I'm not hearing anything. But if I go forward and back again, I am hearing. You hear that? Okay. So in this position here, maybe I need to do something with this other wall. Recall that this wall, well, yeah, let's use purple, go ahead. This wall, there's a wall right here. Well, how was it? Because this, remember this one kind of moved like that. So this is sort of doing something like this. And now I'm not sure, at some point this drops down into 2 because when I push this wall out, there's 2 there. But I can sort of see, if I look closely here, there's a little gap and I can see that this is where the change is made, right? So this line is right there because I can see when I push it out, I can see the crack. Okay. And then right now I've got this other wall. Maybe I'll use the orange here again. You know, something that looks like this. Now my question is, how far forward does this go? Is that going too forward? Is it going from here all the way up to there? Is this open? Can I get over there? I can't. I can only go forward and backwards. So at the moment, this seems to be blocked off like this. And I can just kind of tell by how much time it takes between the clicks that this is only moving one spot and not 2. So I actually think that, well, is it? I'm not sure. So maybe this is a wrong line for now. We'll just keep going. We'll call this 2A. So maybe if I push this back here, what would I predict? Let's check our diagram. So if I move this back into that position with this 100 sticking out, now I'm predicting to have something that looks, let's see, we're back to our square here. And I know that this path right there is how we get in, and that this is now sticking out there. That's my 100. This is all blocked. And now that's moving back to there. I think that my coin can move this way now. It can go all the way around in there. So let's just test our diagram to see if that's correct. Yeah, so now listen. Let's actually take the coin out. There's the coin. So when I put it in, there's that initial vertical motion. Now it's free to move left and right. Hear that? And now I think it should also be free to go forward. And it is. But it's getting stopped somewhere in there. Okay. Well, what can I do now? Maybe what I want to do is push this. Okay. If I do that, I'm not hearing any movement now, really. Well, maybe that wasn't right. So if I, oh, that doesn't go back in all the way. What's going on here? The coin seems to be stuck. Oh, did you hear that? No, now it's stuck again. What's happening? I think there might be a trap here. And if I look into this crack, I can see that there's a black shadow that goes all the way down here, and I can actually see, just through that crack, the little coin stuck right at the bottom here. So I think to get this out, to get this back in, I might have to try to undo that. And so I'm just gonna push it back up. And there, closed it back. So when this part gets pushed out to here, like this, that opens up a hole here. So I sort of have this, here's my $100 sticking out. And this, you know, there was this path here that was kind of like this. And I think what's happened is this area right here is just a big hole, and it's a trap. So we're gonna have to avoid that by not tilting the box in that direction. Let's try this again. It's gonna be hard though. So I'm gonna tilt the box that way so that I don't fall into that hole. Now did that do anything for us? I don't think it did. I don't think it did. So I think what I'm gonna try to do this time, because I noticed there's another green piece here. What if that's a $100 piece? Okay, like that, 100. And when I slide this over, maybe I can sort of get it into the same path here as this coin and do something similar to what I had previously done with that coin. And then push it up. But I think to push it up, I'm gonna have to push this 100 back in behind the coin. So let's see if that's true. So I can get the coin back into that spot. Now if I push that back in, so now the 100's pushed in, I can see that yes, it moves, it doesn't stop here. The coin actually can move 2 spots forward. This whole area is available. So if I tilt the coin in that direction and push the 100 back in, now I'm in a new position. Let's draw another diagram of what I think that looks like. Remember, this was the 100 right here. And I think that this wall was all attached together like that. And then I think that this is doing something like this, but with another 100 attached. That's that second wall, or this back wall here. And this front wall, remember, that was doing something a little bit more like this. And I think that we said that this was dead space here. And I'm gonna guess that this is dead space here because it's gonna be really hard to move. And I still am guessing also that this is 100. I'm not sure. It's a green piece, but it may not be. And so I think what has happened is that my coin now is in this area here. And that means if I push, if I put the coin forward, which way was I going? Yeah, this way. If I put the coin forward now, and it's in that spot, and I slide this over, I think it's gonna drop me into that trap. So I'm gonna pull it back so that it's in this spot. And now what if I slide this over? And this so now this 100 is slid over. Let's keep diagramming. This is a lot of work, but this is the right way to approach a puzzle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. Where now what I think I have is this other wall here, like this wall down here, like that. And remember, this has this piece here sticking up too. This has 100 sticking there. And now I think I've got 100 right here. And I've said that I think this is dead space and this is dead space. And my coin should be fully trapped right there. So let's see if it is. Let's listen. I'm not hearing any movement. I think it's right. So if this is 100 and that's 100 and that's pushed in, if I slide this wall, that should in theory push that forward. Now I still have to be careful because I think this is a trap. There's my trap. So I want to make sure the box is tilted. So I'm going to tilt the box and then I'm going to slide this other wall. And it is 100, okay? Now, I knew that was going to happen because I designed the puzzle. But you do have to take guess. You have to make a hypothesis and test it. And I've skipped over that just to save some time of some hypotheses that I might have made, or that's not 100. Maybe that's just a green tile right there. And if it were, then this would be trapped, right? So when I move this over, there would be no escape. And so you can sort of make those hypotheses and test them in your diagram, test them in your mind using mental simulation, or test them by trying out with the actual box. So I've chosen ones that are a little fortuitous so that it saves us some time. But remember, I thought that there's a trap right here, so I'm really worried if I tilt the box, especially, this could still be under compression, but if I relieve that compression by pulling it, and if I tilt it the other way, I'm really worried I'll fall back into that trap and have to sort of reset things. So now, this 100 is pushed out to there, and my coin is in this spot, and this should be open. I should be able to, and remember I've slid this piece up. So let's just do this diagram. This piece here is like that, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is slid up. Oh, so it actually can't be trapped right now, because this hole that was a trap is now replaced by this wall that's slid into its hole. So maybe I don't have to worry about the trap as much. Remember, that's my 100. I think my coin is right here. And this 100 is pushed out. Okay, if that's true, then I've got some blocking there. This is now looking like that. This 1, 2, 3, 4, and with this piece. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It was there. And I'm not sure what goes that way. Well, so maybe that's a free path now. Maybe I can tilt it forward. So let's pull that. Hear that? It is free. Listen. So yes, at least one spot is open, but there's another spot here that's blocked. Okay, so something is blocking it right here, I think. 1, 2. It feels like it's sliding just one. Okay, what if I pull this back now and close that? Okay, now I'm in a new position, so I'm gonna just pull out another sheet. So far, the second perspective that I've chosen has been really helpful. Not the one with verticality in it, but the one with sort of Cartesian XY movement and not the Z dimension, the up and down dimension. Just the left, right, and forward and backwards here. So here, I am hearing the clicking. And with that 100 out, let's test this. Am I able to get back into this area? One, two. I am. So here, I'm there. I heard the click to there. And now, something over there. What could be blocking here, though? Something's blocking right here. And I think my coin is in this position now. If I look inside here, I notice that this hole here is also green. So that might lead me to another hypothesis, that there's a money tile right here. 100. Like that. And my coin is currently in this position. Like that. How could I, if that is a slider, and if that's stoppered, so I think if I put it in this position, let me test to see that that's actually not movable first. I'm gonna get the puzzle, get the coin to that spot. I'm gonna push on this 100, see what happens. I can't push it in. So yeah, that's not gonna move. But if that's 100 there, and I can see a hole here, which is a free path actually for that 100 to come out. So this is actually open in this, at that level of the wall. That 100 could slide that way, but I'm not sure how to do that. Well, what else do we know? We know that this wall moves that way, right? This wall seems to move either direction. This wall moves that way, and this wall moves that way. Well, maybe I could pull a similar trick to this, where I use the reinvest the $100 to help advance the coin again. But I can't get it down there. But if I moved it, shift it one over, I think I should be able to do that. So let's just try that. So if I push this over there, and I reinvest this $100 that I just earned, okay, that should have locked everything in place. I think that this is trapped now. And yeah, I don't hear any movement. So if this $100 got pushed to here and pushed back in, and I've trapped my coin, when I push this back, I should be able to slide that 100 over, if that's true. Now, I do want to say something here about puzzle design. So this is something I like to do. I like to give clues and hints along the way. I think that it makes for good puzzles, not to just have to do trial and error, but to actually be able to generate hypotheses. That's a sign of a good puzzle. It makes it harder not to have those clues along the way, but I sometimes think is it harder in the right ways. So yeah, I could easily make a level 10 puzzle where there's just a big labyrinth on the inside and there's no clues to help you solve it, and you just have to sort of get lucky. That would be a hard level 10 puzzle. And when you get it out, you don't have any clue what you did, and it takes you just as long to solve it the second time around. Some people think that's a good hard puzzle. Yeah, maybe you'd call that a level 10. And the way they have typically done puzzles is to say, or puzzle levels, is to say, oh, well, is it just as hard to solve it the second time around? If so, that makes it harder. That's a level 10. That's a terrible, terrible, terrible rule for puzzle levels. So I'm gonna actually put out a video, I think later this week, about how we decide puzzle levels in a way that that sort of incorporates whether the difficulty is elegant or if it's random. If it's random, you're talking about a jigsaw puzzle. A jigsaw puzzle is just about as hard to put together the second time around as the first time. That's a bad level 10. We're trying for good level 10s. So I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about that in one of my next videos. Back to this puzzle. I have a hypothesis that this is $100, and so when I push this one back in and I slide the wall back, it should be able to move versus being jammed. If that's immovable, then this should jam. And I'm not sure if I would be able to unjam it without taking the box apart. Because now my coin would be just totally trapped. I have no way to get this 100 out, and I would have no way to get that 100 out. So if this is a good puzzle, you can put yourself in the mind of the designer almost and say, this has got to be a slider. Let's try. It moved. It moved. Okay. Oh, I unmoved it. Oh, hopefully I didn't trap it. No, I don't think I did. Let's try it again. No, I am trapped. I might have been back in this spot here actually. So let's try this again. Maybe I'm back in here because I'm hearing that vertical movement on this side of the box. So to get there, oh, did I fall for the trap? Yep, I fell for the trap again. Gosh darn it. Okay. I'm trying to get the coin back into here. And when I slide this over and push that forward, I get that money out. Let's just pull it out and decompress. Slide that wall back and then push that over into this position, right? And now let's try to keep that coin there. I think maybe last time when I slid this over, I had it back in this spot. So I'm just gonna try to keep that coin in that spot as I slide and I push in. That should be trapped, it really should. When I push this time, oh look, it was a slider. Of course I knew that. That's why I persisted. So if things don't work in your hypothesis, just test it a couple times maybe, just to make sure things were in the state that you thought they were in. That pushed this 100 out. So I think my new position is so I think the only place for this to go is down. So let's try it. Oh, I'm not hearing anything. That could be, this slider could still be under compression here, so I'm just gonna pull it a little bit. And now, yeah, I'm hearing some vertical movement. Whoa, I only heard it once though. So if this is the position, I tilted it this way for the coin to fall down, and what happened, I think I heard it move once in the vertical direction, but I'm not able to shift it back. And now I'm hearing movement in the horizontal direction. So what could produce that phenomena where I have vertical movement and I hear it click, and then it's not going back and forth? Well, one thing that could have happened is that this could have dropped a level. So maybe I need to think of things more in terms of my first perspective diagram. So I think my new hypothesis is that this dropped into a hole here instead of moving just on the same level. And now it's moving on the lower level, left and right. So, because I'm not hearing that, and I am hearing this. Hear this? Nothing. Clicking. So how could I test that hypothesis? Well, I could turn the box upside down here and see what happens. You hear that? There is some vertical movement happening there. So if I do the upside down, and maybe I come back that way, this coin might be in that same position here again. So let's see if when I tilt it here, does it drop? I heard that drop. Now, does it move back and forth? No, just horizontal. So I think what has happened is I've dropped a level here. This is like a plunge. Maybe we'll draw that in orange. And so I think that there's this new orange level down here, and it's able to move back and forth. Now, one thing I'm thinking is that I've got a hole in this wall, and the hole is right here. But it's at a lower level, so maybe I should draw that in orange also. So maybe that's the hole I'm supposed to get the money out from. So let's try it. How would I do that? Well, first, I'm thinking I might have to move this wall. Remember, this moved left and right here. So if I push this back into that position, I'm able, look, you can sort of see this money still sticking out here. I want to try to get that hole lined up, but look, this money is actually blocking again that. So maybe I have to reinvest that money to get this to slide all the way over. See that? And look, if you look in there, you can see the money, our original coin, is awaiting us. That's it. So why is this called return on investment? Because you put the money in, and as you manipulate the puzzle, you gain money, but that money has to be reinvested along the way. And in the end, you're doing good just to get out what you put in. That's the moral of investing. That's a joke. But the main point here is this puzzle is much easier to solve using your diagram, right? It's much easier to solve by making a diagram. So I encourage you, whenever you get stuck solving a puzzle, especially if there are things happening on the inside, make a diagram. Use the diagram to help you think about the puzzle, to help generate hypotheses, to help test those hypotheses, make new diagrams, make as many as you need. And if you want, at the end, you could make a really nice picture of what is happening in the box. You know, if we had started with this picture here, solving the puzzle would be a lot easier. But getting to this point took a lot of exploration and hypothesis testing. So next time you get stuck on a puzzle, use a diagram, use it to help make hypotheses. And if you come up with a final diagram that you think really trivializes the solution, I want to see that on Instagram. You can do a hashtag cheat3puzzles and we'll see that. Cheat3 out.